What's good, everybody? We are less than a month out from the women's college basketball season. So we are going to start getting into some spotlights on certain players that I feel like deserve a little bit of acknowledgement, or I just feel like they're gonna have a great season again this year, or they're gonna have a breakout season, and they're gonna continue to build off of what they've done in past seasons. So to start, actually before we start, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. But to start, the first player we're gonna talk about is Gianna, as you guys can see down below. The TikTok highlight reel will be in the description, so if you guys want to check that out, please do so that you know what I'm saying isn't just what I'm saying. You can actually go see it for yourselves. So let's get straight to it. Gianna is a transfer from Utah. She played there for 4 years. She was a two-time All Pac-12. Last year she was All Big 12 because they went from the Pac-12 to the Big 12. So Gianna is one of those players that I would say is my brand of basketball. I would say is a great shooter, can score off the dribble, can score without the ball, or I don't say can score off the dribble with the ball in her hands. She can create space off the ball. She can create for herself. She can create for others. She's efficient. And when I say efficient, I mean efficient. Like efficient. In her freshman season, she shot 44% from the floor, 38% from three. In her sophomore season, she shot 49%. Actually, we're going to round it up because that says 49.8. We're going to round it up. She shot 50% from the floor, 42% from three. In the 8 games that she played in her junior year, she only got to play 8 games because she broke her foot. So she played 8 games. In those 8 games, she shot 63% from the floor, 63% from the floor as a guard, and 54% from three on 6 3-point attempts a game. Think about that. I know it's only 8 games, but that's still insane. That's crazy. And then last season, she averaged 19 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, and she shot 50% from the floor and 44. We're going to round up again because it's 44.8, 45% from three, 89 from the free throw line. So she was this close to being 50, 40, 90. This close. Very, very close to being 50, 40, 90. And like I said, she transferred to UCLA. UCLA is a team that's been on the brink of getting to a championship or possibly winning a championship. 2 years ago, they lost in the Sweet 16 to LSU, which was a very back and forth matchup. I think if UCLA would have figured out the things that they figured out late in the second half, earlier in the game, I think they would have ended up winning that game. And then who knows? I think they would have played Iowa, and who knows what happened. I'm not going to speculate. Then last year they got to the Final Four. They played UConn. UConn was just a juggernaut, especially once they got to the tournament. They really blew past everybody. They beat USC, UCLA, and South Carolina to win the championship. So they deserve a ton of credit. But all that being said, adding Gianna makes this an entirely different team. They also add Charlize Ledger-Walker, who missed all of last season when she transferred from Washington State, tearing from a torn ACL the year prior. So they get a experienced point guard. They get an experienced 2-guard / small forward that can shoot the peel off the ball. You still have Kiki Rice. You still have Gabby Jaquez, who is also one of my favorite players in the country. They also have Lauren Betts, who shoots like 70% from the floor as a 6'7" center. And then her sister, Sienna Betts, who I think is 6'5", is coming off the bench. So they have a lot. They have a lot that they are going to be able to do. And I genuinely believe they are one of the front runners to be in a national championship again. They're probably going to end up being my national championship, or one of my national championship picks. I'm not picking them to win. I'm just picking them to get there. I don't normally pick who wins until the game is there because there's no reason to pick it. But what I want to focus on is Gianna and her ability to score at so many different ways. And again, it's going to be in the TikTok highlight, so you're going to be able to see it. But she's able to score off the dribble. And most shooters, somebody that shoots that well is probably known they probably just come off a lot of screens. They come off pin downs. They come off all these different actions. Yes, she does. But she's also She does all that phenomenally, by the way. She's great at spacing the floor, phenomenal at spacing the floor. Like there's a clip where you'll see she's got her hands up like this, like saying she's open, and then she spreads out to the corner when one of her guards goes baseline, and then they kick it back out, and she jumps back out to the wing and makes herself available again, gets a wide open three. And that's something that a lot of players don't really understand. And when a player understands that and they shoot as well as she does, that Vince McMahon meme, just wrap it up. Like, you don't see that very often, and when you do, you gotta appreciate it. She's able to, like I said, she's able to create off the dribble. She can play the pick and roll. She can create for others. She can create for herself. She gets good shots. She's able to shoot the step back three off the dribble. She's able to get to the rim, finish through contact. She's got a few and ones that are in the highlight reel as well. Like, there isn't a piece of there's not a thing on the offensive end that she cannot do. And I underrated her to a certain extent, because as I was going and watching the highlights, I was kind of like reminding myself of like, okay, like these are the things that I see when I was watching Utah over the past couple of years. But even to a certain extent, I was like, damn, like some of this stuff I was like, okay, like that's a little different than what I like remember seeing very often. Like, she did some things where I'm like, okay, if she can do that for UCLA, it's a completely different team. Just saying. Like, Lauren Betts is going to command double teams, and if you cannot double off of Gianna Kneepkens by any means. Charlize Ledger-Walker is not a bad shooter, but that's probably a player that they're going to try to help off of. But I would say I am hopeful that she's going to be a better shooter after having so much time off and being able to work on her game. I would say Gabby Jaquez has become a better shooter each year that she's been in college basketball, and then the same for Kiki Rice. I think she's going to continue to get better, but I also think having Gianna Kneepkens opens up the floor for Kiki Rice more as well. And Corey Close likes to have multiple shooters on the floor. She likes to have players that can do multiple things on the floor at the same time. So I think the different lineups that she's going to be able to run is going to be really interesting. And I've seen a lot of their, I don't want to say I've seen a lot of their, but I've seen clips from their scrimmages and videos and stuff like that. And Corey Close is one of those coaches that posts like their like player workouts and stuff. So I try to keep up with some of those as well. And I really like what I've seen. Granted, it's off season, you're not going against anyone but practice players or your own teammates. But it's super important that, you're working on the things that certain players need. And UCLA has done that. They've worked on getting Lauren Betts to be able to step out and shoot the mid-range a little bit more, so she's not just in the post and she's a little bit more unpredictable. I think that's something that's really important. But I say all that to say, Gianna Kneepkens is very underrated, and for years, Bryce heard this for so long, he's probably happy that he won't have to hear it no more, but he is going to have to hear it, because now I'm just going to say Gianna Kneepkens, because for years I said that Sonia Citron was the most underrated player in women's college basketball, and last year he started to be like, okay, yeah, I can see what you're saying. This year, it's going to be Gianna Kneepkens, and I think there's a lot of players that could be in that category, a couple of players that I'll talk about over the next 3 weeks before the season starts, where I think they also have a case for being the most underrated. And I think she's underrated more by like fans and a little bit also by the media, because the media, like, they understand how good she is, but they don't talk about her with the best guards in the country, and I think they should. Granted, she is like top 5, top 6 on most people's mock drafts, but I genuinely think she could go higher. When you look at what Sonia Citron was able to do, and I'm not saying that Gianna Kneepkens is Sonia Citron, but when you look at what Sonia Citron was able to do, and even Paige Beckers, with them being efficient scorers in college and being able to translate to the WNBA, also being efficient scorers and being able to get to the spots that they want. Gianna Kneepkens has been a phenomenal shooter her entire life, clearly. I mean, she's a 43% three-point shooter in college. That's insane, and she's not shooting like super easy shots. It's not like she's just coming down and getting wide open shots. Like, she's getting open shots, but she's also shooting a couple feet behind the three-point line. She's shooting off the dribble. She's shooting off a step back. She's shooting with a hand in her face. She's shooting, getting fouled. Like, all these different things, and she is able to lock in on one specific thing, and that's making the shot. So I could see her. I could honestly see her going from anywhere from 4 to 6, because I think the first three we all know is going to be some fashion or some order of Lauren Betts, AZ Fudd, and Olivia Miles. But after that, I think I would take a really hard look at adding Gianna Kneepkens. Again, seeing what I saw from Sonia Citron and seeing what I saw from Paige Beckers, and seeing like, okay, if I can get one of my perimeter players to be this efficient, when you have someone like Kayla McBride that's been super efficient and super consistent her whole career, it's like, okay, if I can add that kind of player in, I don't have to like remake my offense. They can play within the offense and still be really effective and be really efficient. That's really important. And I feel like that's something that scouts and GMs and coaches should be looking at when they're looking at who they want to draft next year. I say all that to say, Gianna Kneepkens is a phenomenal basketball player. Phenomenal. She's even a good defender. I didn't put a ton of defensive highlights in there because, granted, I'm gonna tell y'all, like, when I do these clips, with the WNBA, I was going to specific games and I was looking at the play-by-play, and I was clipping up their specific plays and then putting them into the thing on TikTok. And then for hers, I found a video of her entire season and clipped up a good chunk of it. Tried to condense it. When I originally condensed it, it was still 5 minutes long. Then I condensed it a little bit more, and it was like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So I had to take out some stuff that I thought were good clips, but I was like, all right, these are the best clips that I have. Keep those in. So just know, just because there wasn't defensive highlights or there wasn't a lot of passing highlights, because there are passing highlights that I had to clip out, and there's some scoring highlights that I had to clip out as well. Like she's a great off-ball mover. She's great at setting screens and using that to her advantage and getting backdoor cuts and stuff like that. I had to cut some of that stuff out because it just ran out of space. But just know, if you don't know, now you know to tap in with Gianna Kneepkens this year at UCLA. You will hear her name a lot. Her name is going to be one of the big reasons why UCLA is as good as they're going to be this year. Also Lauren Betts, also Gabby Jaquez, also Kiki Rice, also Charlize Ledger-Walker. Yes. But make sure you guys are tapping in with women's college basketball. Make sure you guys are tapping in with Gianna Kneepkens, UCLA. And then make sure you come back. Make sure you come back here. So like, comment, and subscribe. Just turn on the post notifications if you need to, so that you can come back for the next women's college basketball player spotlight, because they're going to be coming in bunches, because we are not that far out from the women's college basketball season starting, and the NBA season starts really, really soon, like next week, like literally next week. So make sure you guys are tapped in with that, and we'll see you in the next one.